Oh well, most of that was just reassembly. So it will be testing. Oh, fun. I don't think I have anything that narrow. I would have to buy probably a dedicated tri-wing full-size screwdriver, which they sell them. I may even have some, like, cheap ones kicking around that I get with shell kits. Just these small little screwdrivers. I don't think I have one kicking around here, because I don't really like them. But I got this console reassembled with a motherboard. It's not the same motherboard that came with this console, but since I cleared the motherboard, it does have unlaunch. I am going to keep unlaunch there. I think my philosophy of that is that's a somewhat dangerous thing to have. Ooh, it's also language patched. Unlaunch can be a rather dangerous process, as there is a risk of bricking, and since it's already on here, there's really no reason to remove it. So what I was going to do is put no boot on the default launcher. That will be this launcher, not the language patched launcher. Save and exit. So I need to write down that this was language patched as well. Both launchers work. And, like, having a console pre-modded like this does add some amount of liability. But there's really no reason not to. Not to have a console modded anymore. Or especially a DSi. So as long as I masquerade it as a vanilla console, if somebody did want to unlaunch it, the hard part's done. But no button unlaunch to the default Japanese menu. It will behave as though it were just a Japanese motherboard. It is running 1.4.J. 1.4.1J. Oh god. No. Oh, that was no. Okay. I don't speak or read Japanese. The console will behave a little differently when it's running unlaunch. Like, when I power cycle it, it will flash twice. Because I think it redirects to unlaunch, which unlaunch then redirects to the launcher, which then boots the launcher instead of just booting the launcher. There's just another step. Which does add increased boot time. It takes a little longer to boot with unlaunch, but I mean, the difference isn't really that big to be noticeable. It's one of those you'd have to put it side by side with a console for it to be significant. It's definitely faster than the new 3DSs, good lord. I'll have to unmod a 3DS, or get a 3DS, a new 3DS that's not modded, and see how the boot times are, because those boot times are just ridiculous. I wonder if somebody's made a mod that trims down the boot sequence. Anyway, I'm going to be performing just a slew of tests to test all of the components, mainly. I've more or less cleared this motherboard, other than to check the game card slot. I don't know why I checked that. I didn't check that, but that'll be something I'll check. So I'll just be doing a bunch of these pass-fail tests down here. First one being the motherboard and power board, which I did confirm. The console turns on, and it boots into an application, which in this case I just did the settings menu. That clears a whole hell of a lot of problems right off the bat, and though it wouldn't really make it to, like, actual sales if it didn't pass that test, it's just something I like to check off. It makes it feel complete. Next is the tactile buttons. I'll be using my DS Pico only because it will auto boot. At least it should. I actually don't know its real behavior with unlaunch, which it looks like it does okay. I have 2 pieces of homebrew software on my DS Pico, which will allow me to test this console fairly thoroughly. I need to find where my stylus rolled off to. Oh, here it is. So tactile buttons, as it sounds, will just be all of the face buttons and shoulder buttons. Face buttons are usually fine. Or they do go bad. I mean, I have this power board right here where I guess the center trace was clearing up okay. It still has a little bit of gunk in it. And the little tiny silver like button part, the part that actually actuates and sort of makes the clicky. I really don't have the technical expertise to know what you would call this piece, but the underside of it was just gunked up. And it didn't have, the right D-pad didn't have actuation. You would just press it and just you wouldn't feel anything. So they do go bad, but usually in that case it's something spilt on the D-pad and liquid works around the membrane to get to that board. But they're usually the face buttons themselves are usually pretty robust. The ones that aren't robust, however, are the shoulder buttons, which so far I have no problem with these. They're responding in the manner that I expect. Man, booting through unlaunch into the launcher into DS Pico. Whew. It's a hell of a boot sequence. Okay, for the next is the touchscreen. I'll just be booting up into this application, which turns the entire bottom screen into a touchpad. And I mean, there's not a straight line down here. It does kind of bubble out a little. That could just be calibration. I'd almost be hesitant to call it bad. Let me actually run calibration. Let me see if I can get into that menu without DS Pico in the way. I think it was this button sequence. I might have to go from cold. Oh, no, I don't. Okay. Right, left, start, select to get into calibration. Oh, God. Yes? Sweet. The left option is yes. Hello? You gonna do something? There it goes. Let's try that again. If that zone is still having... If it wiggles out like that, yeah. I think I should probably call this touchscreen dead. That's really concerning that it's that it's doing that. It's weird, it kind of almost fills in. It's not the most egregious example I've seen. That is a little concerning. I really don't know the progression of damage for digitizers. Like, that could be as bad as it gets, or it could completely bubble out. I think for now I'll keep it and just see, like, if that gets worse. I think that is a benign enough piece of, I guess, I almost hesitate to call it damage. It's a benign enough quirk that I don't think it will have any real impact. But, I just never seen, usually when I've seen them, when I've seen damage to digitizers, it's usually a lot more outrageous. Like, I'm talking like, blop, and then like this entire corner is dead. Because this is a OEM touchscreen, and it's still in really good shape. mean, at the end of the day, that is damage, no matter how insignificant it is. So I think I will mark it as such. Dead. That will just be my note to self that this touchscreen is dead. Okay. That's a bit unfortunate, but is what it is. Next is speaker, microphone, and headphone jack. I'll combo that with an SD card slot test, wherever my SD card went off to. My other R4 card isn't here as well. I did a lot of crazy stuff the last couple days, so it wouldn't surprise me if I slapped them somewhere. It's just a bit inconvenient that I forgot where I put them. I need to put these batteries away. I wouldn't have put it in here. That wouldn't make any sense. Wherever my R4 card is probably where it is. It's not up here. I don't see it underneath any of my stuff. Perfect excuse to clean up a little, I suppose. Oh god. Oh, I will need these. This will be for the game card slot test. Doesn't quite help my current predicament, but it will be necessary nonetheless. Did I like push them off my table? That'd be kind of amazing. Oh, I found them. No. Wait, is this my... Oh, I see what I did. They're right there. This is my NTR boot setup. I got those mixed. I mean, having two white R4 cards is not very helpful. Alright, SD card. Rescued. Let me go in the DSI sounds. Now this is also the best real way to test the volume buttons as well, because since the tactile button tester, the diagnose, didn't have anything for volume test, and I really don't like playing that stuff literally by ear. So this is a more objective test of whether or not the volume buttons are working. And they are responding, so I'll test the mic. La 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 la! Yep, works just fine. So, have the SD card in. Reads it just fine. As well as a little piece of music I have on there. I'm gonna play the music, listen to both channels, plug in my earbuds, listen to both channels. See what happens. Well, it should be fine. Usually always is. But I know I did work on the headphone jack, so I wanted to make sure. Yeah, and that's all good. keep those up there. Those are my sort of essential tools to test software. Next is cameras. Nothing special with these. Just do they initialize and show a image I expect. No weird artifacting. No weird colors. No damage to the lenses or the sensors. And I mean, it's a DSi camera. It's not going to be the greatest. It works. They initialize. Nothing weird about them. Charge ports next. Grab my USB tester here. Almost upside down. Ah! I don't usually have this stack of cards right here. I really don't need all 20 of them during this initial testing. I usually only test like 5 or 10 of them. Because any issues with the game card slot will make themselves known pretty quickly. And then it's if I can consistently run into issues is when I start looking into it. So, USB tester. Let me get the console turned back on. I kind of set up to blind insert this. Okay, inserted. Software and hardware is responding, and it's pulling 0.5 amps. Test and sort of jiggle the charge slot around and how it's flashing sort of in and out randomly tells me I need to see if I can find where it's like most consistent. Ooh, stabilized. Interesting. So when it flickers in and out like that, that can be a sign of bad charge ports on the, or bad solder joints on the motherboard. Also found it can also be that these little contact points get bent down. The port is otherwise fine, it just, they need to make a little better contact with the internal pads of the charge end. I bent them up a little. The charge port's fine, the little tongue inside, it's a little worn down, I mean, we are dealing with a fairly old console here, but I have no reason to replace it. And I mean, as long as you're not just like violently shaking the charge port end while you're charging it, it's a steady orange. And it looks like just bending up those prongs just a little bit allowed to make better contact. So last but not least, game card slot. Now I'm going to use this stack of cards, put the other stack over here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be doing kind of 2 tests here for the game card slot. Slot the game card in normally. Game card shows up. I'll put a little bit of pressure on it and jiggle the game card side to side. There's a tiny bit of play in the game card slot. Game's not going anywhere, that's good. I'm looking to see if the game will just vanish from the menu for a split second. And then I'll slowly put pressure on it up until I hit the ejection point where the game card slot will click. Kind of the point of no return where the game card is coming out. Just hit that point. And then for fun, I push it all the way down until I can't push it in anymore, sort of bottoming out in the game card slot. Shit, while jiggling it from side to side to see if that game card disconnects. So far it hasn't. I'll do this like 2 or 3 times. Ooh. I might need to clean the game card slot a little. The sort of springiness of ejecting the card kind of didn't eject it in the way I expect. It might just be a little gummed up, or maybe it just needs to be actuated a few times to just... Maybe it hasn't been actuated in decades. Feels a lot better now. So I'll do that sort of jiggle test a couple times. Then after that, I will slap it against my open palm to kind of simulate an impact to see if that game card disappears. So far, so good. I'll just sort of rattle through these game cards. Yeah, I'll dribble some rubbing alcohol into this mechanism and see if it just needs a little cleaning. I think I have tried lubricating these game card slots before, but I just don't have the correct lube. Anything that wouldn't make a mess. Like I don't want to blast silicone lube in there. I would have to get something like a dropper from a syringe that I can apply just a very little amount. I mean, I could, like, dab a little bit of lithium grease, but I have no way of assuring that's not going to make a big mess. I can't really get to the internal mechanism of the game card slot without taking it apart. So a liquid would be a little better. And I mean, so far this game card slot is giving me absolutely no trouble. Aside from the ejection at the very beginning, I'm not able to replicate that weird ejection. So I think it's good. It just needed to be actuated a few times. But I have no problems with this game card slot. Thermal pads for Wii. Yeah, that makes sense. You'll have to send me a link of some thermal pads that I can purchase from AliExpress. Just something that I can have kicking around. I think that's just going to be best for me. So let me check off game card slot test, and then passed all test. Okay, and this motherboard specifically, I'm going to be selling. Ooh, I never took off the top screen screw covers. I should do that real quick. Because this was one of the consoles that had a bad language patcher, so instead of taking it apart, I just wanted to... I just kept it all together because it's a lot easier to do NTR boot on a assembled console. Not a single speck of dust on the PCB. Oh, neat. I mean, it is a pretty tiny console, all things considered. I would think the inlet from the fan would just gunk everything up, but good to know it's pretty good. I mean, I think I have like 3 Wiis that I need to maybe look into taking apart and checking, but I really don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I'm just kind of like hoarding them for maybe a project in the future. Because the Wiis, or at least the Wiis that I picked up, were just extremely cheap. I just couldn't say no. Maybe, like... I think one of the Wiis I picked up was like 30 bucks, and it came with all of the power AV cables, and I think even a controller, which I think is about how much they're still going for. So it wasn't really that crazy of a deal, but I'll take it either way. These in my screw cover area. Ooh, sticky. Okay, sort of spread out the rest of that rubbing alcohol so it will dry. Now I can fully pull this console apart, get the motherboard separated into my little area for eventual selling. I hope those motherboards sell when I get them up, because I'll be a pretty good spike in the value of these junk consoles. They're just a little hard to transport. Very rigid. Okay, now I can actually start putting these screws away instead of just on a magnet pad. I need to remagnetize this screwdriver. Try not to stab my hand. Does my other console have a battery door? No, it doesn't, so I'm gonna put this one. This will be the next console I disassemble, probably another time. Okay. Did I throw the itty bitty screw in here? Or did I just never assemble that itty bitty screw? Oh god, I'm going crazy. I mean, I would notice right away if I chucked one of those small screws in here. That small screw really does stick out. I did. That goes in here. So they're the same screws as the battery board screws, which I'm going to be grabbing next. Oh, looks good. Looks pretty clean, so I don't need to wash that. Ooh, yummy. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let me get this all disassembled. Or get the motherboard out at least. Was my note taking good? Or my management of notes, was it good? Did I keep the motherboard with the right one? Yes, I did. Awesome. Put this with my pile of screens I need to sort. All of these need to be washed. Plunk. No problem with the Wi-Fi board. All those yummy buttons out. Hi, trying to hide, are ya? Oh. Yeah, these were the ones I popped out earlier. To the clean-in bin with the very last screw, at least as part of the main housing assembly. This little fella. I still have to disassemble the bottom housing. Wi-Fi and microphone antenna out of the way. Alright, the Wi-Fi antenna and the microphone, I suppose. It's not a microphone antenna. These things are a little unwieldy. I need to put them over here. And plunk out the hinge. Had no problem with. Oh, I did say I was going to dribble some rubbing alcohol into that game card slot. I'm going to do that before I forget again. Now the main mechanism is right in here, just under this little flap. That's kind of the thing that engages. And I know it behaves a little weird when I put rubbing alcohol in it. Or when I get rubbing alcohol into it when I, like, clean the game card slot pins. Hey. Let that dry normally. 91% should dry pretty quickly. Alright, back to this. See where the little metal ring will sit. Ah. Bottom shell. Aha! Top shell. Where I want it. Feed that into the little slot for it. Roll it up into that. Slice the adhesive around the screen, which is mostly just on the bottom. And slide it out. The ring. This is also a bit unwieldy, so I'll put this aside. And my screen pile. Okay, just the bottom shell left. A complement of gold and black screws this time. was always weary that these are maybe different screws than the motherboard screws, but my measurements have told me that they are the same. Found it odd that Nintendo decided to use two different screw types for the rear shell, 3.8 millimeters. I don't even remember which one was which. 3.8 millimeters thread diameter. M1.6. M1.6. Yeah, they're the same. They have to be. Okay. Dump out all that stuff. I need to get the spring and the little pivot. Get that for cleaning. Good shoulder button. Have any rust? Oh, looks great. Those pieces are good. Get the spring, the little pivots. Where'd the other one go? There it is. Get all this in for cleaning as well. This console is actually in really good shape. I was very pleased with this lot. I got a lot of good shells out of it. Alright, let's get this shelf fitted back together. I like keeping them all in one piece. Ooh! Yummy! That's probably the same syrupy crap that I saw in the D-pad membrane. Whatever it is, probably a soda. It's always a soda. There we go. Yeah, I guess aside from the little stopper being a little chewed up, which I don't even think... It's not that bad. It's not bad enough for me to try and replace it. Especially since I don't really have that many replacement pieces. Yeah, this shell's in pretty good shape. Glossy shell's always going to be scratched, but it's not the worst I've seen by far.